Hello everyone, I'm Tim Coddington, the Wildernut. Today, I'm coming to you from Bandelier National Monument in New Mexico. I am standing in the Frijoles Valley of the Bandelier National Monument, where there's an ancient Pueblo site, cliff dwellings, ancient kivas that were used for ceremonies. Stay tuned, I'll bring you along on my hike, show you around. The Bandelier National Monument was established in 1916 by President Woodrow Wilson and was under the care of the U.S. Forest Service. In 1932, care was turned over to the National Park Service. The part of the Bandelier National Monument that I'll be visiting today is the ancient Puebloan village of QUE-wee-nee, which is located deep within the Frijoles Valley. When you arrive at the Visitor Center, be sure to pick up a $2 copy of the Main Loop Trail Guide, as well as fill your water bottle. Directly behind the Visitor Center begins the Main Loop Trail. If you picked up the Main Loop Trail Guide, you'll find numbered posts that correlate with different sites along the way. The first will be a large kiva, or gathering place, pictured here. Note the stubby timbers sticking out of the ground of the kiva. Those are remnants of the pillars which supported the roof of the kiva. Continuing on, you'll enter the plaza, or courtyard, of the village of QUE-wee-nee, where you'll see the remnants of the ground floors of all the rooms. Humans have been coming to this area for over 11,000 years. In the earlier times, it was more hunter-gatherers coming in, spending the night, and then later on, around the 1200s, 1300s, that's when the developments like this came in. The pueblos were being built for basically cities, their communities. Up in the cliffs, there was homes where the buildings were built in front of the cliffs, 3 stories high, maybe 4. The entrances were all through the roofs. There were no windows, no doors leading to the ground level. Everybody had ladders that went on the roof and then down through a hole in the roof into their dwelling or their store or whatever it might have been. Most of the lower levels were probably used for food storage because it was cool. They had to keep plenty of food on hand. In the plaza here, there was up to 400 rooms and probably about 100 people that lived here. There are 3 large kivas in the center of the plaza here. They're large holes in the ground. They would have been covered with wood and mud roofs with a hole in the ceiling for entrance, and they had vent holes for fire, for the smoke to escape through that entrance hole. If you look at this artist rendition of the village of QUE-wee-nee, you can see the 3 circular kivas in the main plaza. As well, you'll notice that there are no ground level entries into the buildings. All the entrances are made via the ladders and the holes in the roof. You might also note they have turkeys on the roof. They use turkey feathers intertwined with yucca fibers to make blankets. Due to the Frijoles Creek running through the valley, they would build irrigation dams and other ways for irrigating crops here in the lowlands. As well, they would grow crops up on the Mesa, on the tops of these cliffs where it's flat. The crops they grew were beans, corn, and squash, mostly. A volunteer for the Park Service told me that the wall that goes to the right, just inside the one entrance into the QUE-wee-nee village, aligns with the summer solstice. You can see up on the side of the cliff, there is a petroglyph of the sun. I could not find any reference to this online. However, I did find reference to the entranceway being aligned with the winter solstice. The park actually holds a winter solstice walk on the morning of the winter solstice. Looking up from the plaza of the QUE-wee-nee village, you can see the remnants of some cliff dwellings. There's also a reconstruction of how the dwellings were made in front of the cliffs. I'm going to make my way up the trail, see if I can get a closer look. I also want to see if I can go inside one of those cliff dwellings. Well, as you can see, I'm inside one of the cliff dwellings. If you look at the ceiling, it is soot covered. That served to protect the rock from crumbling and falling off, and as well it happened just because they had fires in here. This material is called tuff, and it was created by the volcanic ash that solidified and turned into rock, and there's some areas that are over 1,000 feet thick through here. They would take the rock made of this tuffed material, they would stack it into walls on the edge of these cliffs, and then make home sites inside. And they're very cool in there too in this hot desert sun. This particular reconstruction, which was done in 1920, isn't technically correct because it has an entrance to the front. The entrance would have been in the roof. From the vantage point, you can look down through the Frijoles Valley and get a good overlook of the QUE-wee-nee village. As we continue down the trail, we'll come to an area that's called the Longhouse. You can see remnants of rooms at the base of these cliffs. Some of these walls went up 3 stories. This area here shows how the Longhouse was built. Really good representation. You have the home sites, the floors out in front, built up with the tuffed rocks. Behind there you can see the rows of holes. That would have been where the wood beams went into the side of the cliff and were supported by the walls in the front. And that way they could have 1, 2, 3 stories buildings here. It's believed they used basalt, which is available nearby, to drill these holes in the side of this cliff. Paying attention, you can find various petroglyphs throughout this Longhouse area. What allowed the civilization to live here? The Frijoles Creek. It's not a very big creek, but not a lot of water for 600 or so people, but they did it, and that's what allowed them to live here. The Rio Grande is a ways away, and that would have been the next water source. The Ponderosa Pine is very important to the ancestral Pueblo people. Due to its strength and how straight it grows, it was perfect for doing the beams as well as the support structures for the Pueblo homes. Another important resource, which is very plentiful in the area, is the pinyon pine. Not only for its wood, but for its nuts. Its nuts are tasty, and they can be stored all year long. The Frijoles Valley is considered an ecotone, which is where 2 diverse natural communities come together, giving life to both animals and prehistoric people who thrived here for hundreds of years. After seeing the ingenuity and creativity of these ancestral Puebloan people, I'm thoroughly impressed. I hope you are too. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to Wildernut on YouTube, please subscribe. Smash that notification bell so you get notified of each and every video that I have coming up here in the future.